Oh yeah, it's working. How'd you like the new intro? Slightly different one. Just did a bit more stuff with it. I'm a one man production show here, so I don't have any fancy producer or anything like that. So I got to fiddle about with my own video, but I kind of like that new one. Bit more crowd applause, bit like Engine Star Rock Show, the anticipation. Hey y'all, happy Monday. Thank you for joining me, pop pickers and truth seekers and those who just want to have a good time and shit talk and hang out. And that's what today's show is indeed going to be all about. We're just hanging out and talking some weird shit that I'd like to throw up on the screen and talk about. And you're welcome to bring your own weird shit and put it in the chat, and we'll look that up too. So last week we on the show we tackled some of the big questions. I think we actually succeeded in answering many of the big questions, the metaphysical ones. Where the universe comes from, and why is there something rather nothing, and time travel, does it exist, and so on and so on. I think we did a really good job with that. But today we're kind of gonna just accept that we're in base reality, and in base reality, weird shit happens. That weird shit could be transhumanism, it could be Yetis, it could be alien bases on the moon, it could be what's going on in Antarctica, it could be prior civilizations, it could be, is Australia a real country? These are all the weird shit that we're gonna talk about today. And but I just, while we're here, I would like to just introduce a guest, the first, I hope. Um, this guest is someone I've streamed with many times. He's a very cosmic guy. Certainly also does some fantastic videos. So I'll introduce my good friend, Mr. Cosmic Fusion.
How's it going?
Good sir, how are you?
I have certainly had worse days. I will say real quick though, you happen to know somebody who does intros, so you
I
know.
know, and I've meant to mention to that somebody sometime that they perhaps I needed a bit of assistance for some slick stuff. So um, I was learn. I like to learn to do it myself. But yes, now would be the time where, especially as I have some plans, which I don't want to go too deeply into right now. Plans for a big series of shows on classic TV and radio comedy, particularly from a British perspective, looking back to the 60s and 70s and so on. And so materials, intro video materials and other such things will be required for that. And I may be beyond my humble capability. So any assistance
Actually,
would be gratefully
it's
accepted.
not. I don't know what your budgetary constraints for something like that is. Uh,
Well, I can actually tell you right now what my budgetary situation is.
0.0.
So,
yeah, so um,
excuse me.
for I think right now they're running a sale actually for $54. I got the annual subscription to Power Director, which is what I've been using since having switched up my PC rig, that and After Effects. I could walk you through Power Director,
I,
man. It's simple.
well, that's what I'm using today. Actually, it's funny you should mention that, but there's probably a lot of things about it I don't haven't conquered, but I am using Power Director and Audio Director right now. So anything you see of that nature has been inexpertly put together by me on there. But yes, tutorials and help would always be welcome. There's
Absolutely,
some
yeah. We can
stuff I'd
talk more
love.
after the show and do
Cool.
that.
There's some stuff I'd love to do that I kind of time constraints never get. I go, okay, I've dropped that in, I've got that overlay, I've done that music. Yeah, that'll do. And maybe it could be. My trouble is I don't have the artistic side of it, which says this would be a great theme. This would be great if it looked like that. I'm much more straightforward. Slap in a bit of a video in, slap a bit of music in, and it's good enough.
Which could
Anyway,
be, part of your style, and you just kind of lean into that and work in that direction. And there's even the intro we just looked at. There are ways to do that exact same intro and just kind of make it a little more eye-catching.
Yeah, yeah, and that's the bit I'm lacking is even the artistic knowledge to do that. I'm great at talking about shit, but doing that is not really in my wheelhouse. So we will talk, sir. We will talk. Um, yeah, so just like briefly before we continue to have a say a quick hello to the chat. There's a bunch of people here already, and I must say I appreciate them all. It's what I call the regulars, and you're all wonderful people. And thank you for joining and hanging out with me on a Monday afternoon. I have one special request of you all: if you could like and share the stream, because I don't do Twitter, for instance, but if you guys do stuff like that, share a link to the stream out, and also click the bell for notifications, because a number of people have said they've not been getting those. So make sure you are clicked. That does help sometimes to know when things are going live, and I probably will be doing more. As I say, I've got plans to do another live series on comedy stuff, so that's being semi-produced right now. It's going to be good though, I think. So we have a very great collection of people. We got one man show. Thanks for joining, buddy. We have the always resolute D Bud Martin. Good to see you, my friend. We've got my brother in arms, Darius Munchausen, who I'm hoping will be popping on here later when he gets the opportunity. He's my semi-executive producer, honorary executive producer. We have Anonymous. Thank you for joining again. We have the always amazing Captain Marty Spock, the man who has basically solved most of the problems in popular culture and indeed in physics, and therefore has left nothing for the rest of us to talk about. Who else? Well, we always have the always lovely, very lovely Sherry. It's good to see you, lass. Thanks for joining. Six, the always lovely 6-2 is here. Great contributor to the fellowship. Who else have we got? We got some guy called Cosmic Fusion.
That guy's an asshole.
Right, guys. We have Darius, of course. Anonymous, Lovey Sherry. Purple's here, my dear friend Purple Valkyrie, who we've now done a couple of really great streams on her Monday morning show. One about Meatloaf, one about Elvis. I thought the Elvis one was magnificent. I can't wait to stream with you again, my dear. You pick a subject and I'll be there. So please check her channel out, and her streams are just wonderful.
Were you talking they're just their music careers or also their movie careers?
Well, with Elvis, it was mainly music. We touched upon the movies. I certainly talked about the early movies, some of which were quite worthy. And before he got onto the cookie cutter assembly line of, Girls, 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 Viva Las Vegas. So even that had its merits. Fun in Acapulco, etc. All that stuff was the churned out, let's film it in 4 weeks, crappy soundtrack album that no real musicians wanted to play on. That's what the Colonel wanted. So we did touch on that. Earlier movies, there were some good aspects of them. He really did want to and could have been a good actor in his time, but the Colonel had other ideas. So
I was actually more thinking of Meatloaf in the movie Black Dog.
Well, we did talk about Meatloaf a little bit, but funnily enough, on Mad Barber Entertainment at the weekend, we showed of a movie that Meatloaf may well have wanted to forget called To Catch a Yeti.
I think I've seen that.
TV special, ranks 2.2 votes out of 10 on IMDb, which says a lot. It was not very good. And clearly it's in the public domain because nobody wants to own that shit.
Yeah, I think I'm the one who hunted that. I could be wrong, but I think I'm the one who hunted that down for Mad.
Oh, you did, all right, because that was hilarious. I mean, it was just don't even get me started. Rewatch that stream, Mad Barber stream on that. It's funny. Purple. We've got here. We have Eakley Thomason. Thank you for joining again. cover Dark Shadow Logan, I hope. Forgive me, anybody, if I've missed you. Well, our good friend Salty Texas C, who is, I'm pleased to say, is one of the people in this fellowship I've actually met in person. Lovely guy, great show as well, great channel. Christian Delorme, or Delorme, forgive me, Christian, if I've mispronounced that. So yeah, we got a bunch of people here right now. Hopefully more will come in. As I say, please like and share if you get the opportunity to do so we can get the audience up. And it's very timely before we get launched into our subject matter that we have a special guest from a part of the world that many people believe doesn't exist. I think, of course, that's a ludicrous idea. Of course it exists. And I don't particularly have an intro video for him, so I'm just going to give him what I think he deserves, which is something rocking. From the Antipodes, AC/DC, of course, although we're Scottish born. It is the very wonderful Mr. Grant Gregory.
Oh, this guy's controlled opposition all the way.
Yo. Sorry, I
Hello,
was late.
sir.
Me and Meatloaf were in the Himalayas. We were looking for a Yeti, but fortunately, some David Seinfeld-looking motherfucker took it in his bag. So
that's right.
Oh.
Jerry Seinfeld's younger and not so good-looking cousin. Yeah, but I think we're going to be talking about Yetis later. Where the subject of Yetis is definitely, there's a lifelong fascination with Yetis for humans. So I think we need to talk about them, and I've even got an Australian version, the Picton primate.
no, that's real.
Well, exactly, and we're going to.
Are those like drop bears?
Well,
yeah, they're definitely real too.
There's no actual photo of the Picton primate, but we'll come back to that.
No, it's naturally out of focus. That's its problem.
Well, this is. They know how to move fast enough to blur any picture.
Yeah, it has a special quality that distorts all of the light around it.
Yeah. So, Grant, my friend, how are you today?
Yeah, going good, man. Going good. And yourself?
Yeah, I'm having a good day. It's, generally speaking, my voice is back, which is to the detriment of the streams, obviously. People can now hear me. Feeling pretty good. The sun was shining here and got out for a nice walk in the wilds of British Columbia.
They can hear you, but can they understand you?
They cannot, which is always a bonus point. And the Dallas Stars had a mighty 6-3 victory against the hated Minnesota Wild last night, including a second game in a row hat-trick for Jason Robertson. So well done, Robbo.
Yeah, good old Robbo. I've always liked him ever since I found out about him 3 seconds ago.
That's right. He's a good lad. But yeah, not many guys can score hat-tricks in 2 consecutive games. But enough of sports puck.
Okay, so ice hockey. I was just like, okay, that doesn't
puck.
sound like a football team. Maybe it's a soccer team? No.
Well, we do have football teams. You've never heard of the Canadian Football League?
Yeah, isn't that the one where you have like 13 people on the field instead?
It's 3 downs instead of 4, I think. And
yeah.
It's all the guys that can't get a game in the US. So
I will give Australia this. I've had a lot of fun watching just like brutal hit compilations of Australian football.
Oh God, there's not really padding or anything there.
It depends on which one, whether it's rugby league, union, or AFL, because they've all got different sorts of
These guys were catching like flying knees and elbows, just.
Which
brutal.
Is the rules football? Which one's called rules?
That would be like Gaelic football.
That's the Gaelic one.
Yeah, but Gaelic football without the soccer net and oval ball.
Yeah. See, this is another thing about Australia. You've not only have you developed your own flora and fauna, virtually all of which is trying to kill you. You've developed your own sports.
Yeah, and some of the more international ones, we've mastered the art of sledging in them. So, like no one sledges like an Aussie when it comes to a cricket match. So,
I'm going to talk about cricket a little bit later, but just holding that one back. But cricket is in the conversation today somewhere, I can assure you. So what I wanted to do today didn't particularly have a theme like last week. It was mainly just let's hang out and talk about some weird shit.
Sounds good.
By weird shit, I mean things like mermaids and human human mermaids and in fact, humans that merge with any animal, hybrids, or human alien hybrids. Antarctica is a fascinating place. All sorts of
Have you
things
heard
happening there.
of the man from Taured?
Well, we may well talk about that. So spell that last word for me, just.
Taured. You can type that in, just the man from Taured. It's a probably, I wouldn't say well-known story, but it's an interesting story.
Okay, well, we'll definitely get that called up later. I have a few other ones of that nature. We're going to talk about Yetis, the Loch Ness Monster, of course, dear to my heart. Not near to my heart, but dear to it. Prior civilizations, of course. Aliens on Mars. Mars itself has a lot of shit going on. All those bases that are being defended.
If you
by the
believe in all
military.
that space shit.
Well, there's a point. And the fact that Australia isn't a real country, of course, is definitely going to be on there.
I am not a paid actor.
No, they've just been lying to you. You're like on an island in the Caribbean somewhere.
So this is a list of
Well, you got the first part
topics.
right. I am on an island.
Yes, you are. It was a continent-sized island, though.
It's very, very big.
Yeah. That's what they say. But I wanted to assure everybody that we're talking about the subject matter. I've researched and brought to the show only the most trustworthy news sources, the most accredited experts in the field. There's going to be no bullshit here. It's going to be stuff we can trust, people we can rely on to tell us the truth. So this picture has no real...
So you're not saying it's aliens, but it's aliens.
No, but I think the point is we can trust guys like this to
Yeah,
tell
he was
us
on the
truth.
History Channel. They don't have anything bad on there.
No, it's great. I think it all works out really well. I believe everything on Ancient Aliens. So even the things I don't believe sound plausible. So that's the kind of quality journalism we're going to be using today for these discussions. Just before we do get started on that, though, we have another friend to add to the discussion, a man who if I could just introduce him properly, he has a society that he founded called the Dead Boob Society, which we shouldn't really talk about, but it exists. So, Darius, what have I got here?
That's popcorn.
Buttered popcorn.
Popcorn chicken, come on!
It is, of course, my co-executive honorary for life producer, Darius Munchausen. The quiet Darius.
Oh, can you hear me?
Hey,
we can hear you.
I can hear you.
The Dead Boob Society does not exist. That is misinformation.
Well, we'll have to get you taken off the Russian airwaves then, won't we? But I did think it would be nice to talk about such stuff today instead of the serious shit. So how do you feel about it, Darius?
Oh, I always feel good talking about the weird stuff. I call it my mysteries so people don't think I'm crazy.
Yes. Well, of course, it isn't a conspiracy.
I still think you're crazy.
Well, yeah, but not because of that.
Yeah, it's not a conspiracy until Wes Moody says it's a conspiracy.
Right.
What I've always found about the word conspiracy is, which we all know was invented by the CIA, conspiracy theory, is people say there were aliens on Earth prior to human civilization. That's not a conspiracy. Saying it has been suppressed by global leaders, that information, that's a conspiracy.
Right. That's a point I make to a lot of people, that a conspiracy is just people conspiring, right? Meeting in secret to plan something.
Yeah, conspiracies happen all the time.
Right. Like a surprise birthday party is a conspiracy, technically.
That's true. When I used to do my streams, no one was watching, so technically that was a conspiracy.
Well, exactly.
Yeah, see?
Yeah. Oh, I have to unhighlight something by 6. I don't know what it is, but I'm going to unhighlight. I'm sorry, 6. I've probably already done it. I don't know. Maybe it was one that'll get me banned or something. I don't know.
Oh yeah, so just a heads up, there's a possibility that the CIA could be firing ultra low frequency waves at my processor, causing it to overheat, and I might suddenly drop out without warning. But I'm going to try to keep my processes down so that doesn't happen.
Okay, I get it. So
They're watching me.
somebody's watching you.
Don't look behind you, Darius.
Don't look behind. Someone's watching all of us. There isn't a square inch of this planet we're not being surveilled on, physically or technically. But
Sounds
Well,
like a
I'm always being observed by
conspiracy.
the spiders in the area, so I assume they're working for the government because there's just so bloody many of them.
I saw a video earlier today of two Aussies in a vehicle, and the woman was sleeping, and there was a huge spider crawling across her face. It was, and she woke up and went mental, as you would. Thought, God, I'm never going there. Right, so, I hope, Six, that I have successfully undid whatever it was I was doing, and thank you for telling me if it was something I shouldn't be showing. But I'm going to show proper banners now. Please, everybody, like and share this, and don't forget to click the bell for notifications, and that goes for my radio channel too, because as I'm doing a few more of those shows, if you click the bell, you'll know when they've started, because I don't do them at any specific time, so that would be awesome. And you're going to get some good music, and then I'll play some stuff too. Righty ho. So the first topic I wanted to cover today is, I'm going to lead in with a real doozy. I'm going to share. I gotta share shit here. I can just get rid of our friend with the hair. Oh yeah, here we go. Share screen. Make sure so. Mermaids. You know, a lot of people seem to think they're real, and this is a particular article that fascinated me from what I believe is a Japanese, principally Japanese production, the Asahi Shimbun. Asahi Shimbun.
Somebody
Which I have
says
no
there's
idea.
echo going on.
Is there an echo?
Whoa, there's a big echo.
There is. I can't hear it.
Test.
Oh,
Yeah,
I hear you now.
What about now?
You're the only one not echoing.
Everyone else is echoing.
That might be your end. If you mute yourself for a second, 70s.
Oh, did you share audio?
Oh, is
When
it
you
the
shared
audio
it,
in
yeah.
this? Because I wanted to play the little video there, but I'll unshare and then share it again without audio. Yeah, it could be that, even though I've got my browser
The
volume
mystery
down.
is solved.
Yeah, it's funny how I couldn't hear it. Maybe I'm just smarter than you guys. Right. So mermaids. A lot of people believe mermaids are real. You know? See if I can get a bit more of a full screen layout in this. Can everybody see this okay? So from this Japanese paper, which I have no idea if is any good or not, but scientists try to unravel mystery of eerie mermaid mummy. Now, how they know it's not mermaid daddy, I don't know, because it doesn't look particularly feminine, but then again, we get mermen, don't we? A team of researchers has started to scientifically analyze a mermaid mummy said to be about 300 years old and kept at an Enjuin temple in the Okayama prefecture. So a mermaid mummy kept at a temple has been an object of worship, the stuff of nightmares, and a source of mystery for hundreds of years. Now, for the first time, a project has started to scientifically analyze the mummified creature, which is the upper body of a human and the lower body of a fish. And it appears to have nails, teeth, and hair. Now, my first question on this was, why is it always that way around? And why do you never have the upper body of a fish and the lower body of a human?
Well, there was the great genocide of the mermaids back in, I think it was 204, but, they don't really like to talk about that. I think it was their lack of thumbs that prevented them from actually winning in that conflict, I do believe.
This guy appears to have
That
thumbs.
sounds
though.
legit to me.
But this guy's got thumbs.
Yeah, that's why they won.
That's why they won. The rest of them were consumed.
Yeah. So this is a recent
I mean,
article.
just look at those teeth.
Well, indeed.
Oh, yeah. Could these
We're
be the
gonna
sea
get-
peoples that ended the late Bronze Age?
It could be, but this one is only 300 years old, they think. So that means
Maybe
they
it's
were
a-
living up to that point.
Maybe it's a follower of Dagon.
Yeah, there you go.
I mean,
Yeah.
do they have any pictures of its lower half?
Well, we're about to get some more, but before that, it says, lying face up on an examination table, the mummy appeared to be locked in a scream, and who wouldn't be, while holding its hands to its mouth. In addition to nails and teeth, the mummy has hair on its head and scales on the lower body. So, according to a note contained in the same box of the dried mermaid, the creature was caught in a fishing net on the coast of Tosa province between 1736 and 1741. So imagine that coming up in your net. And what's more is they didn't eat it. But there's the...
I wouldn't eat
'cause Japanese they put a lot of shit in that sushi.
Oh, that's true.
So there's, you can see the tail end of it there. So this is a genuinely weird thing. Like, is it a half human, half
I don't
fish?
know.
Or
It
is
doesn't
that
look delicious, and
No,
fish
is that-
look delicious.
How
Yeah,
do they
well-
procreate?
the bit of wasabi? Well, I've always wondered that about mermaids and the fact that humans have had sex with them. Just how does that work? There's obviously a hole somewhere.
I hope it's not like seahorses where they where the male has to has to give live birth.
Well, indeed, but I do find it interesting that the blue cushion is tied right over the point that two pieces may have been joined together.
Right.
Yeah, That's what I
Right.
was. That's what I was thinking. It's like, why does that need to be secured there right now? Like during the
Yeah.
photo op.
Indeed. It's funny because it's the first time I've ever heard of this, but clearly it's been known for quite a while. So as the upper body, okay, mermaid. So further down it says, after learning the mermaid mummy was housed at Enjuin, Kinoshita, who's the researcher, sounded out officials at the temple and the university to conduct the research. Mermaid mummies have also been reportedly used as objects of worship at Mount Koyasan in the Wakayama prefecture and on the Amami Oshima Island in that prefecture. According to Kinoshita, one of them has the upper body of a monkey and the lower body of a salmon. So this isn't just mermaid restricted to mermaid
I was
human.
going to say that one looks
hybrids.
like a monkey though. It looks like a little capucha.
It does.
Mhm.
So is it the possibility that it's a monkey that's just had a really bad genetic defect?
Seems more likely.
Yeah.
I mean, if mermaids were a thing at this point, I'm pretty sure we'd know. They would have had to have receded so far away from human influence and technology to be living in the just deepest trenches that we still can't get to.
Yes. Well, there's
But
a
then
lot
what
down
would they
there.
eat down there? That's the point.
Right?
Daddies. Mummies would eat daddies. So the last sentence is interesting. The last two sentences. Kuida likens the mermaid mummy to Amabi, a folklore monster believed to have the power to fend off plagues. We have worshipped it, hoping that it would help alleviate the coronavirus pandemic, even if only slightly. So that
What?
brings a completely new
Oh.
element into it.
So this is a recent article then.
This is February the 19th, 2022, which is why it caught my eye.
What
Ah.
the fuck does that have to do with the coronavirus?
No, it makes sense when you think about it because of the. Well, I mean, it doesn't.
Well, if you think about praying to any deity to end something like a virus, you might as well pray to this too.
Well, I mean, that could be
why
true.
not?
Someone could have prayed to it the night beforehand, and then all of a sudden, some person overseas decided to invade another country, and then Corona's cured.
Well, that's
That-
what I was just thinking. That's why God hasn't saved us, obviously, because some asshole in Japan is praying to this false idol monkey mermaid thing.
Yeah. You're getting a
Or
bit of a
maybe it's the
close-up
real
on the
one and
video.
we're cancelling it out. See,
Yeah, you never know, man.
But I think it's the only creature of this kind I ever remember seeing. There it is going in for its MRI. It's going to come out with a clean bill of health. MRI will be good, and it'll be up and about in no time.
yeah. I mean, to me, when I first saw it, I thought it was a monkey.
It does look like a monkey, not a human. That's true.
So it's
So-
a monkey mixed with a salmon. I wonder what that tastes like.
Yeah. Well, I think that actually might be quite nice. It's kind of like a chicken and salmon flavor.
People eat both of those things.
Yeah. Oh, monkeys have been eaten by various societies. So that's a genuine oddity, though, because if this is a real thing and you're only seeing it from
Well,
a distance there,
I
it
will
is
say
weird.
it has more evidence than I don't know if any of you saw that. I don't know whether it was on Discovery or anything, but there was a big thing back in maybe 2012, 13, 14, around that time about evidence of mermaids. And there was a big hour-long show about these guys who had proof and everything when they were doing their deep sea expeditions and everything. And it turns out that they just stuck a tail on the outside of their vessel. But yeah, they got like national what do you call it, eyes on it. Where this seems to be a little bit more credible because at least there's something that you can see. You can see they're doing something to it. That's if you trust their science, that is.
Well, I mean, they put it
Well-
in an MRI machine. It's got to be real.
This is real science. These are real scientists. I trust them implicitly.
Well, I mean, I saw the guy there. He was wearing a coat and he even had a stethoscope. So that's what normal doctors do around MRI machines.
That's
Obviously,
right. Yeah.
because
they
of the
have,
metal.
Indeed, and they have declared themselves scientists, therefore they are. That is their truth.
Imagine if this thing had a pacemaker and it just ripped it straight out of it when they turned it on.
A couple
Or-
of fillings in those teeth.
Imagine
Yeah.
if it's like a sort of prehistoric version of Chucky and the MRI wakes it up. Although it wouldn't get around very well on that tail, would it?
And then
Yeah, I
it
was gonna
immediately
say-
dies.
It's going to swim after you.
But we do have some facts about mermaids. 21 facts about mermaids. So what I've always wondered is, first of all, when you look at that, yeah, she's fairly alluring, but what do you do with that bit at the bottom half if
I'd
you're gonna
imagine
have
it's like
carnal
dolphins
relations?
or alligators where there's
Yeah.
a slit
Yeah, or
somewhere.
does she have a butthole?
Well, this is it. How did the mechanics work here? This is what I want to know.
Well, I mean, just purely and simply on the fact, why is there a knee if they're mermaids? If they're an actual thing, why wouldn't it be one streamlined like spine all the way down like an actual fish?
Yeah,
Having
flexible
a
spine,
joint,
not knees. Yeah.
yeah, having a joint there where the knees would be doesn't make any sense, like from an evolutionary standpoint.
And here we're seeing another bit of cross-species sexual activity between a manatee and a
That's a
mermaid.
sea cow.
Well, I mean,
It's-
dolphins are pretty rapey.
Oh,
They can be. They're horny little bastards. But yeah, and how did they get about on land? These mermaids are all like Daryl Hannah, and they suddenly grow legs.
Yeah, I don't know if they are on land.
Well,
Is it
she
like a
was.
seal
I mean,
where they just go up on land for a little while and sunbathe and then have to go back down?
I
It
mean, unless
does-
the Disney Channel's lied to me all these years, which I can't believe.
No, Disney is gospel. Everything is gospel in Disney.
Is
so
it weird that all I'm
mermaids-
thinking about is they would smell really fishy? It'd be like a real turn off.
That's the point that I was going to ask. You just raised a great point, Grant, because I thought, has anyone had sex, drunken sex with a woman that could have been a mermaid, and the only tell was that it was really fishy smell?
Yeah, see, I think I've probably had sex with a mermaid in the past then.
Because you've
A desert mermaid.
I've noticed a very fishy smell sometimes. So
Yeah, it was cross between a desert mermaid and a beached whale. So
a beached whale is a definite yes. That's so yeah. So apparently there's a whole website with facts about mermaids, and these are sirens. These ones, I think, trying to
Well, so
lure.
If a mermaid
Men.
is a mammal, shouldn't it have a vertical tail like a dolphin or a whale rather than a horizontal tail like a fish?
Mm-hmm.
If we... Oh, go ahead.
No, you go ahead, mate.
If we don't have proof of mermaids, how do we have mermaid facts? 25 of them at that.
And how did they reproduce if there's only mermaids? Like if they're all female?
Maybe it's a very patriarchal society where the men just sit at home getting fat, or maybe they're the ones laying the eggs. So it's like the queen just sitting at home laying all the eggs.
Well, that's
Could
why
be.
they need the human men.
Yeah, they need the man
Obviously.
seed, as they call it.
Indeed. Because
Yeah,
they
well-
obviously, the merman seed is too diluted under the water.
Well, maybe the maids leave a pile of the eggs at home and then they swim off, and the guys just sit at home watching porn, fertilizing the eggs.
Yeah. Well, that's
That's the mermaid life.
Christopher Columbus, John Smith, and Edward Teach, Blackbeard, of course, all believed that mermaids existed and had seen them. And P.T. Barnum, obviously, whether they existed or not, he was going to make sure there was one. And this is his.
You see, that one looks more like something that would make sense. There's like a sea chicken and then a seagull.
Yeah, and they've got spines,
Right.
which you would expect for fins. And
Yeah, the one
Yeah.
on the right does look like Gollum.
oh, this see, it was the upper half of a dried monkey sewn to the tail of a fish. I see a pattern here. Yeah. So I hope the monkey was dead when they.
Oh, God. Yeah.
Are sirens and mermaids the same? Yeah. Well, I don't know. Sirens are more like the cougars of the mermaid world, I think.
Your mermaid has evolved into a siren.
Indeed. Although the siren looks a lot better there, I think. She looks pretty good. Are they dangerous? Well, it depends whether you think diving into the ocean to have sex with someone who's half fish-like is dangerous or not. Look at this one here in the second picture, and it's hard to see because it's small, but she's got more of a proper ass to her. I mean, that's a bit more
yeah.
realistic, I think.
She's definitely got a butthole.
She has a butthole, which is clearly going to be assaulted. Assault watered.
Okay.
Oh, you
Anyway.
mean filled with semen? I get it.
That's right. Well, that guy's name he's a seaman. He's Seaman Staines. The guy next to him there on the left is Master Bates.
Which is a real Jedi in the EU.
Anyway, the anatomy. So there isn't.
Oh wait, it says what do mermaids eat? I want to see what that says.
They love seafood, so they're basically cannibals.
Oh, they got crabs. Gross.
Crabs, yeah. They eat seaweed. Another reason to avoid kissing them, I would have thought then. But
Oh, little seaweed. It's full of MSG.
that's right. How do they
What
reproduce? So they do. According to this, they do lay eggs, which are dispersed throughout the water, and then the males will fertilize them. So where's the fun in that?
Wait, so do they breastfeed?
Well, I think we're about to get to that. They're polyamorous as well.
Of course they are.
Obviously.
Bunch of whores.
Yes, Purple Valkyrie has recognised my Captain Pugwash references there. These were characters, supposedly characters in a British kids' cartoon called Captain Pugwash, Master Bates and Seaman Staines. It may be apocryphal. So the baby passes outside. Oh, you reproduce like dolphins, okay. Our mermaid's born. Doesn't say anything about breastfeeding. Well, she would find that difficult because she hasn't got any.
Womp womp.
Anyway, not exactly convincing proof that they exist.
Yeah, all these
Well-
pictures have knees. I don't think they're real mermaids.
No, I think they could be faking it.
On the internet?
Well, I mean, this is it. I was all for this, but I'm starting to feel a little skeptical. Maybe this isn't a news source we can trust. The Aqua Mermaid site. Tail rental. You can rent your very own tail. However,
You can
it's not
become
the
a
end of.
mermaid.
Yeah, you could. This site is all about that. So this is not the end of human hybrids with creatures, though, and I think I
What the
found
hell's
some.
a mermaid ambassador?
They're the ones that charge to have sex with them.
Oh, makes sense.
Yeah, these look Australian to me.
Yeah, they're probably H2O cosplayers.
Yeah. Oh, Canada. Aquamermaid is based in Canada. Well, there you go. Convincing proof that we are doomed. So I wanted to turn from that into other hybrid human creatures that have that. And again, this is from a very believable source called Google Plus. Unbelievable dog-human hybrids exist. And this one, to me, didn't seem so much like a human hybrid. It seems like more of a pig.
It looks like a dog that somebody did some like Isle of Dr. Moreau experiments on.
Right.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a furry.
But clearly these are real. I mean, I believe these are real. I'd like to get one of those. If it doesn't work out.
The little ones do look kind of adorable.
They do.
Kind of like a human version of like a Shar-Pei or something.
Yeah. When I look at this, it reminds me of Madonna, funnily enough.
I thought of Madonna when I saw the nipples.
Where's
She's got
the
a lot
hair?
of them.
Is this a hairless dog man?
I don't know.
Dog woman?
And then, so, and this must be real because animal welfare activists are complaining about it. 27-year-old Paul Cross strongly condemns this huge leap in science.
In what? No, that's a crime against humanity.
Well, it could be a crime against dogmanity. Humans should do what they like, but dragging animals into it. This is
Yeah. So this picture here, I've seen that picture, that little pygmy face thing before. I've actually used it in a video.
Oh, you have. So
Yeah.
you've met this person.
No, it was to do with practical effects versus visual effects, and the guy who made that one, I was trying to get an interview with him.
Oh, right, yeah. And then we've got see, those don't look like dogs though. I mean, to me, that's a pig.
Yeah, it looks
human
like a pig.
crossover. Yeah.
One of those chimeras they've got in labs.
Yeah.
Over
this
in
one's
China.
more convincing as a dog.
No, the chimeras are real.
Well, yeah. I don't know what they look like, but I imagine it would be kind of like that.
Whoa. Klaus Schwab.
Oh yeah, that's obviously him.
It's obviously Klaus Schwab, yeah.
Well, he got around, so it makes sense.
And it says they are still illegal since they have non-disclosed biosafety issues. Well, I'd be fascinated to know what those were. Is it something to do with
they're
defecation?
genetic monstrosities.
Yeah.
Is it something to do with shitting in the street?
No,
Normally
look
it's
at
San
that thing. It
Francisco.
eats babies.
Yeah.
That is how they penetrated the cabinets, by being so cute.
Yeah, so as we can see, that there are some, and these to me are all absolutely valid and real, and are out there. So we need to find more.
I found who it was. It was Patricia Puccinini. It was a sculpture that she did in the early 2000s. It was apparently an anti-war protest called "We Are the Family," and then she's gone into doing stuff with visual effects.
Yeah. So have you got any pictures? No. We've seen them all. I just wanted to go back to this one again because somebody, Darius, you sent me another picture of the monkey fish. So that's what it looks like. And I can't see any join there, but that could easily be clay makeup.
There's
Right,
some
yeah, 'cause it looks
discoloration.
Yeah, it looks more fossilized. If it was underwater, you think it would be like soggy, and all that would be left would be a skeleton.
Well, things do petrify underwater, but I don't. Yeah, after so much time, I think that all the organic material
But
would.
they didn't find it dead under the water. They caught it in a fishing net.
Mm.
And
So
fucked it to death.
What they didn't, they fucked it to death. Well, it was dead when we found it. What kind of? But yes, they
I did put a
never
link
answered.
in. I did put a link into her latest work.
I see that. They never answered whether it was alive when they caught it or not.
How far
So
did they find it from
Grant,
Yonaguni?
I
So
think if it
this
was
is-
alive, we wouldn't be seeing anything of it. They would have
Yeah.
dissected the living shit out of it.
Well, exactly. So this is the artist you were talking about.
Well, no, this is another artwork, but yeah. If you scroll down further, it'll have all the stuff that she's done.
Oh my god!
Ugh.
That is
And these are
deeply
all
disturbing.
These are all like
She's not your
latex
typical
and-
Australian artist.
Well,
Or
for one thing,
human.
she's got clothes on. So
She holding a Twitter feminist?
this is her and her husband and kid.
Mm.
Oh, David Lynch was involved. Well, there you go.
Oh, there you go.
Razorhead, etc. Cool. Well, it's art. Kind of. Who's to say we didn't look like that a few million years ago?
Yeah, it's got that actual image in the ones further up. There's like a group of them. You can select which ones you want to see.
Oh, right, yeah. Wow. Yeah, I mean, is this all rubber and silicon and latex?
Yeah, I assume it's something like that. It's sculpted and molded.
Holy moly. Bloody
It's reading about-
Australians, they come up with the weirdest shit. I think this is a conspiracy to cover up the fact that they're real. She's pretending it's art.
She's a very good artist, so that might be true.
Yeah, the Animal Planet Mermaid one, I remember that. That's like the one where Google sent the photos out of their base on Mars. Just happened to be on March the 31st that they did that. But, anyway, yeah, so yeah, there's some real stuff that people have been trying to do, but one more, Ancient Reptilians, of course, and there's another reputable site, Ancient Origins. Ancient Reptilians perhaps proves a link thousands of years ago to these mermaid creatures. These are the Ubadi lizard men discovered in Iraq.
They look like
Awesome.
mice with boobs.
Nice with boobs, yeah.
Well, if there's anybody that'll confirm my belief in reptiles and mermaids, it's somebody who lives in a desert.
Well, it wasn't always desert.
Well, there's no regency bias there, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's right. It's supposed to be from Sumeria, or from that era. Mesopotamia and Sumerians, who were the first writers, the Sumerians. So, but yeah, these are statues that they made. So, either they had the same myths as we do now about these things, or reptilians ruled the earth, which of course would be ludicrous.
Right. They look like cone heads.
Well, they do. I like that he's got a little hat on, this guy. This one's just got a big lumpy point in the top of the head.
Yeah,
And it
that's
looks
the
like a
taller one has
baseball
a
cap.
fez.
Yeah.
A fez. It's a fez, yeah.
With that hole in the front, looks like a baseball cap for a cone head.
Yeah, I feel that if the boobs had been bigger and better shaped, that they would have been quite attractive.
Well, that one on the right is could stand to be a little more hippie.
I think yes, they could. And I think these are the figurines that the Dead Boob Society worship.
It looks like they're stuck halfway between doing the time warp.
That's right. Or
No, those-
YMCA.
Those are Karens, and they're waiting to talk to the manager.
Yeah, that's right.
Legend says they're still waiting.
Oh, Tom's here. Hey, Tom, buddy, how are you? If you want to come on, let me know, and I'll get you the link.
What's
We're
up, Tom?
talking weird. We're talking weird shit, man. It's right up your alley. Women with scales and tails. Probably women that look like turtles somewhere. But that's ancient reptilians apparently existed, and then the Express, which is of course is a very secure source. I believe everything I see in British newspapers. They would never lie.
Well,
I
they've got
prove-
they've got a word in all capitals, so they're emphasizing the truth.
That's right. You rest your case, and I agree with you. So, No, we don't talk about music on this show. Only every few weeks. Tom, we like to mix in some other shit. And today is Weird Shite Day, so that's what we're doing. So I proved human-alien hybrids exist, says scientists who found them living on Earth. A green energy expert, and green in capitals, of course, who helped shape UK renewable power policies so that nobody's lights will ever go on again, says he is convinced aliens have been secretly implanting extraterrestrial DNA into pregnant humans.
That's insane. Also, I had a really bad moment then. I said, what the hell is green energy? Is it like some sort of green glowing thing? And then, when you explained it a bit further, I went, oh, yeah, I'm glad I didn't say that out loud at the time.
It's actually the opposite of energy because it doesn't produce energy.
Yeah, it consumes it constantly.
Yeah, if you've ever seen a classic Doctor Who episode called The Green Death, the green glowing shit in that killed people, that was green energy. Yeah.
Sounds legit to me.
It's a way of not producing energy at a really expensive cost. So,
see, I noticed if the woman is already pregnant, then injecting her with DNA is not gonna create a hybrid, right? You have to do that to the embryo.
mRNA, and that might retrospectively alter her DNA. That's a theory, a conspiracy theory.
Speedwagon.
RNA Speedwagon.
Audio Speedwagon.
So he believes that, so as well as being a green energy thing, there's a whole alien abduction research thing going on here. And he has solved the mystery of why UFOs allegedly visit the Earth. It's to impregnate Betty White.
Well, they missed their window.
They missed her window. Or did they?
Or did they? And she was going to expose them on her 100th birthday. And they made sure to stop her.
He says, I tried to keep my feet on the ground. Yeah, I try to keep my feet on the ground as much as possible. My background is in renewable energy policy, gained as an academic. He has to tell us he's an academic. So I have to be sure of my facts. Well, you've never been that with the green energy stuff. But
yeah, well, how do you know an academic is an academic? Because they won't fucking stop telling you.
That's right. Anyone who has to say, I'm an expert or academic, forget it. So these hybrids are raising the vibration and awakening people. Have you felt the vibes recently?
Yeah, I did, but I had to ask the missus to turn it off because I couldn't sleep.
Sentient Dildo, he has the vibes strong.
He brings the vibes.
He brings the vibes. But yeah,
Yeah, Marky Mark wrote a song about him.
He did. Soul Assassin is here. Oh, yes, Midnight. Now, actually, I may not have time today, but I did want to do a whole thing about what happens when you play certain albums backwards. So we may get to that in another show. But if it's a country record, of course, your wife comes back, the crops start growing, and the kids come back to life.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this guy's clearly he says this is a reptilian, or is it a co-author? One or the other. This is a half alien person. Could be both. I think this one's fully alien.
Well, yeah, he is. Who drinks?
Yeah, no, it's obviously an alien.
Yeah.
He's drinking beer out of a wine glass. He's definitely an alien.
Exactly. Who does that? But yeah, they're raising the vibration and awakening people.
Hello, fellow humans.
So that's apparently someone with an intergalactic heritage.
That's a bit racist, isn't it?
It is. Oh, I like this one.
Oh, what the hell's that?
I don't want to know what that is.
Oh, did someone blow up and their penis fall over?
It's a
That
xenomorph.
looks like a penis.
Looks like the aliens met Lorena Bobbitt.
Oh, that's a 90s reference.
Oh,
Oh,
well,
we definitely can't show that on YouTube.
You can see how that one reproduced.
Oh, this channel's gone.
Wait, that looked like that guy was going down on the skeleton then in that video.
I don't know, but this see the Express. It's a getting to the truth of everything. I think
They're sharing a video from RT. This is all RT is reporting on right now. Alien hybrids. There's nothing going on over there. Just keep your eyes on the alien
Russian
hybrids.
cone head skeleton.
Yeah.
Conehead skeleton issues nuclear destruction warning. I don't know how, this is obviously a new article as well that we just clicked on, but yeah, that's if clearly it's a fake of some kind, but my god, it's whoever it is, whoever did that is has got a repulsive.
Yeah,
sense of
somebody
humor.
made a weird sex toy.
Yeah,
Yeah, it kind of does look like one, doesn't it?
Yeah. And it's from San Jose. Well,
It's
that
even
explains
got
it
a
all.
hole. Somebody was definitely fucking that thing.
Yeah, San Jose is full of lunatics, so that's
Oh yeah, that's the capital of Silicon Valley.
yeah, exactly. It is full of nutters. I've been there. But yeah, so I think we've almost milked the subject of this. Is actually, funnily enough, a real article about real DNA shit that we've tried to do. Rabbit man grown in a dish, human chimpanzee hybrid they've been trying to do for decades. As you can see, they've succeeded. There's AOC. Pigs with half human blood. Well, they are 99.8% the same DNA, are they not?
That's true. And they make for good organ testing when they do transplants.
They
I thought
do.
you were going to say sandwiches.
See,
Well, no, I mean that's a myth.
Ah.
No one eats pigs.
Go on.
Well, you know, there are cannibal tribes that refer to human meat as long pig. Apparently, we taste like pork.
Indeed. And I've
I
seen a
think
band.
I think we're a little bit more gamey. I mean,
seen a-
allegedly.
Seen a band in the 90s called the Long Pigs. Goats and cows that lactate human milk. Fair's fair, I say. We've been drinking their milk for years. It's their turn to drink ours. But it does make people with the breast fetish have to go to extreme lengths, I think. Pigs and sheep with human organs. Well, we know they can do it with pigs, that's for sure.
Mm.
And this mice with human livers. Well, I've seen that one before.
Must be a
they're very
pretty big mouse or a really small liver.
Well, I was going to say it's a very small liver.
It's definitely not a Scottish or an Australian liver, that's for sure.
Not, yeah.
It's a sliver of a liver.
If they're going to transplant that into a Scot or Australian, they got to make the thing drink for years first. The shock to the system would be big otherwise. So mice with human anal sphincters. This one makes no sense to me. Are we doing
Well, they were trying to
arsehole
solve the sex problem with the mermaids by creating sphincters. So they figured if they could do it to mice, they'd be able to do it to mermaids.
Yeah.
So then you'd
That
be able to
track.
properly have sex with them.
But are we doing arsehole transplants these days?
Not yet.
You've seen the government. We do it every 4 years.
Well, that's the old Monty Python joke. Have you heard the news? Richard Nixon's had an arsehole transplant. Yes, but the arseholes rejected him.
And after so many bleachings, you have to get a new one.
You do. But this is what it's for. Replacement anal sphincters for humans. Some of them perhaps have been reamed out a little too often. Why don't they just use the mouse and don't bother with the transplant? There, I've seen this one before. The
Womp
mouse with an
womp.
ear on its back.
What?
Yeah, that was huge in the 90s.
Yep.
Yeah.
But why?
So that mice can hear better.
Yeah.
They can listen to Pink Floyd albums played backwards now and understand them. They ran out of funding before researchers could progress to human trials. I'm actually disappointed about that because I would like to have seen that happening.
Well, see, unfortunately, all they did is they ended up using them to put dip in at parties because they ran out of funding, so they had to hire them out.
Mm. Yeah, I don't know what number. Mice with half human brains. Well, let's face it, we have a lot of humans with half human brains, so why not extend that?
We have a lot of humans with no brains.
Well, indeed.
That's true.
12 million humans. Oh, they ran horrible tests on the mice. Well, there you go. The scientists are such wonderful people.
Yeah, but, fuck mice.
Well,
Yeah.
no, literally.
Well, if they
Yeah,
have
and-
the sphincters in them, then you can, yeah.
And monkeys with human neural cells who are now apparently running the Western world.
I thought that was the lizard people.
Oh, but they need the layer.
They were
below,
eaten by the monkey
bureaucrats.
people.
They need the bureaucrats.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. Seemed to work to a certain extent. They were trying to cure Parkinson's disease, which is a noble cause. So, anyway, I think we've milked the disgusting, gross creature subject for now, unless you disagree. But somebody mentioned Maca from Torred, isn't he? Paul McCartney. Mocha from Torred.
The man from Torred.
The man from Torred.
Yeah,
No, I
the
don't have
man
my
from
glasses.
Torred.
I don't have my glasses on, so.
Yeah, that's definitely one of those interesting stories that
I'm familiar.
I
with
don't
this
know.
one.
I don't know the validity of it, but it's
Oh,
very
yeah.
it's very
I
it's
remember
very cool to
this.
think that it's real.
Wasn't there a movie with Kevin Spacey that was something to do with this? Or looked
Oh,
like
that was K-Pax. No, that was where he just raped people.
Oh,
sorry, that
No,
was
that's
That
his
was real life. That was just
Yeah.
real life.
it's
So the man from
autobiographical.
Torred is a legend that takes place in July '54 at the Haneda Airport in Tokyo, Japan. I wonder if it's the same as having a what's that country in the Russian area that was on maps? Tartar.
Yeah, the one that
Tartaria.
was on the border. Yeah,
Yeah, Tartaria. That kind of disappeared, even though it was apparently a real country. Nobody knows anything what happened to it. They even mention it in like Vatican papers and diplomatic papers from England and places like that. So he disappeared. How he managed to escape? Well, he could probably got out the window.
yeah. Well, because he had a passport and he had money that didn't exist, and he said he was from like Almania or Almada or something. It's a weird name starting with A. A was where he was from, and he pointed to an area which was right on the border of Spain and somewhere else.
And France, right where
Yeah.
Andorra should be.
So Andorra.
Andorra. There. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Torred was a nation situated between France and Spain, which had been in existence for a millennia. Well, this leads to a number of questions. First of all, is this one of these things where he's right and everyone else is remembering things wrong?
Well, we can't ask him, unfortunately, because he disappeared.
Yeah. So I
Right.
mean,
But he had a
you know what
passport.
was saying,
and
you know what I'm
everything.
saying, that the old Bernstein Bears thing. We all remember something that didn't happen, or we thought something's changed.
Oh, the
maybe-
Mandela effect.
Yeah, the Mandela effect. Maybe he's right.
Fucking
He-
CERN.
Yeah. Or he's a time traveler.
Or
Right.
not even time travel. Maybe it was some sort of weird like wormhole or portal or something.
Yeah, different dimension, parallel dimension. Because I absolutely believe that this guy was real, even though they've said it proves he's lying. Yeah, but they're saying all the things.
Yeah,
they're
but
saying
that's something that they would say, wouldn't they?
Yeah. So they're claiming that because the hotel he originally booked at a room had no knowledge of a reservation in his name, and the company he was due to meet had no idea who he was, and the bank that issued his checkbook couldn't be found anywhere, they're claiming that's proof he was lying. Well, not necessarily.
Absence of proof isn't proof of no
Right.
evidence. Like,
Well, that's
yeah.
right, yeah. So,
The absence
mean-
of evidence is not the evidence of absence.
Yeah, I mean,
but-
you say it more, eloquently with your voice and in the correct way, makes it sound better.
but I'm definitely going to look into this one more because I'm sure he's not the first person in history to have done this.
No,
Well,
'cause
he
there
is
was another,
actually one of the only people in history to have done that.
What,
well, there was
escape?
another case where a bloke was going something, and they were talking about Russia, and he had no idea what Russia was. Well, back then it was the Soviet Union,
Hmm.
but he had no idea what it was. And when it was described to him, it was 4 separate nations, and the eastern side of it, eastern side of it was mainly Asian. I'm trying to think of that one. If I can find that one, that was quite
Yeah.
interesting.
I'm not familiar with that one.
We'll do mysterious disappearances another time, but that's an interesting subject. But yeah, so there's that guy, but there's also this whole Tartaria thing, which apparently was a huge nation and then just kind of disappeared. Not physically, because the land is still there. But, they had ambassadors and everything. Very weird.
Yeah, that one's new to me.
Interesting.
Yeah, Tartaria. I think it was called Tartaria.
Or
That sounds
Tartary.
familiar.
Yeah, it was
Dark
called
Tartary.
Tartaria.
Yeah, the mystery of an Tartary and Tartaria. The mystery of it. So there's maps, old maps of it, and it's this huge chunk of what would be Russia today. The Mystery of an Empire Lost in History, a medieval country which is mentioned in a lot of medieval documents. And the CIA even seemed to have talked about it. Although, who knows if a classified CIA document is trustworthy or declassified. It was a historical region in Asia located between the Caspian Sea, Ural Mountains, and the Pacific Ocean. Tartary was a blank term used by Europeans for the areas of Central Asia, North Asia, and East Asia, and unknown to European geography. So, were they just referring to ignorantly to an area that they'd never seen, or was it a real country? Some people said it was. It was independent. It was a country.
Yeah, but I mean that narrative about that has only come out like in recent years, sort of thing. Well, that's
Yes.
what they meant. But I remember hearing about this when I was much younger, and that explanation was never ever given.
Yeah. So I've read quite a bit about this one, and I'm pretty convinced there was something going on there. And they certainly had a lot of maps showing it, ancient maps, but they also, of course, these maps show Australia, which was obviously bullshit, so it doesn't exist. So
I find
can we
it
trust them?
easier. Yeah, I find it easier to believe that an ancient map is wrong.
Well, I mean, they knew everything then in those days. So how
That
could it
sounds a bit
possibly be wrong?
racist.
But yeah, Tartary, look that one up, everybody, because that is an interesting one. And they made great sauce, I believe. Tartar sauce. That's a joke. Because there is such a thing.
Except that Russia doesn't believe it exists.
No. Much like many other things. But just checking in the chat. Hope everybody is hanging in here, doing okay. I know this is deep, deep, heavy stuff. We're waking a lot of people up to just how weird the world is. But now I think, like Monty Python references again. Someone built a castle in it and the entire country sank into the swamp. So really, another subject of great interest to me in the weird shit department is, of course, Antarctica. And we all know there's all sorts of weird shit goes on there. And I got a couple of pictures here to share. If I can just get the right screen. Well, here we go. So, Buzz Aldrin's famous tweet showing the pyramid. And we are all in danger. It is evil itself. And then he was whisked out of there for emergency medical treatment.
And he's now 1 foot shorter and left-handed.
That's right.
With green eyes.
And as we all know, no left-handed people are allowed to fly in space. That's a rule. So he can't be the real Buzz Aldrin.
Well, it wasn't until the mid-'80s anyway.
Yeah.
Left-handed people are a myth.
Especially if they've got a very, very tiny left hand.
That's a reference.
It is a reference. It's a handy Randy reference. Wasn't there, I watched The Kingsman the other day, and I think one of the three European rulers, it was either the Tsar or the King Kaiser or King George of England, had a tiny hand.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I hope
didn't
you'll
paint him
remember
that
this
way.
tweet, but I think this was absolute proof that something's going on down there. And look at this pyramid. I think I've got a better photo of it. Oh, there it is. This one here. Look how sharp the edges are on that. I mean, you don't just get natural pyramids. It just doesn't happen. Like, I got 3 glaciers that have just come in at the right time to cut this thing into a pyramid.
So that
Over billions of years, I'm sure that stranger things have happened.
No,
did he
I
ever
think-
give more context?
Well, Buzz Aldrin didn't, because he was whisked off, taken to emergency, whatever, and basically has been drooling ever since. Left-handed people are just right-handed people who are backwards, says Toxic. Yeah, that's the thing about astronauts. They are short.
That's how
Like test
chirality
pilots
works.
and fighter pilots, they're all little guys because they need to be little to get into these You don't want to build 3 feet more of a capsule because every pound is important when you're launching it into space. So.
I'd also imagine that most of them get shorter throughout their careers from compressed spines.
Indeed. And some people, of course, believe that they don't actually get launched into space, but that's not a conspiracy I subscribe to. I think there's more going on up there than we know of. But yeah, this pyramid's always fascinated me. So
Now, how far is that pyramid from the supposed face in Antarctica?
well, let's hope we can find out. So, are pyramids in Antarctica the last remnants of Atlantis? So, at the start of December 2016, well-respected astronaut Buzz Aldrin was reported to have tweeted a picture. Well, it wasn't reported; he did tweet it. And whether it was him or not, of course, is an open question, or somebody pretending to be him, of an alleged pyramid located at the South Pole with the text, I don't know if it's exactly at the South Pole, with the text, "We are all in danger, it is evil itself." And maybe he just had a fear of pyramids, pyrophobia. The tweet was soon removed, but not before people had the chance to take screenshots of it, which many did. For various reasons, you see, here comes the cover-up. It appears that the tweet in question was nothing but a hoax.
Well, I mean, there's no. It's hard to tell from that tiny picture, but there's no like blocks. I mean, at the end of the day, it is very straight edged.
Well,
But it
it's not
still
really
look-
straight. I've got a picture of it from the Google Earth.
Yeah, but
And
it
it
just looks
looks-
like stone, like natural geology.
It's apparently in France, according to Bing Maps. I may have a picture of it somewhere else, but
Yeah, I got another one in the private chat.
oh right, yeah. Because I actually don't think it implies it's on the indeed we are gods toxic and we live amongst you, but we try not to interfere with your petty human stupidities. We have enough of our own.
I think there is a good conversation to be had around what may or may not lay in Antarctica under the ice, but
Well, there is, and like Lake Vostok, for instance.
yeah, I'm not sold on this pyramid.
Well, I mean, it could just be the remains of Nazi base.
What isn't?
I mean, that's probably the most viable and the most realistic.
But yeah, there's a picture from above, and it's a fairly isolated outcrop by the looks of this. It's not like it's part of a bigger chain that's you can see, and it could. So, I mean, what ways we don't know the prevailing winds. We don't know how long it's taken. Whether those prevailing winds have shifted over tens of thousands of years, perhaps to cause erosion on each side. But it does seem.
Yeah, I mean, somebody would have to do, what is it? The ground penetrating radar. They'd have to do that kind of scan to see what that is, how far it goes down, all that kind
Well,
of stuff.
it's so thick there that they've actually got to drill the core to be able to go down further to do the actual scans because of how thick the sheets are and how dense they are.
I think Dildo's nailed it. South Pole Pyramid is a lizard Illuminati fabrication to hide the fact that the Earth is flat, or the Earth, as he says. He's a bit of a Londoner, and the Earth is flat.
I thought it was part of flat Earth theory that Antarctica itself was a myth, and that we were surrounded by like an ice wall.
Yeah, it's a giant wall. Yeah,
that's right. So this would contradict that, I think, because. However, to go back to the articles in question, not that one.
That's cool.
This one. Everyone's down there. Now, it could be just because the strategic space, could be oil, gas.
So, what is it, 100 and... Sorry, not to cut you off. It's like 100 and... I could be getting the number wrong. I want to say like 161, 169 countries on the planet, including the U.S., China, Russia, the Vatican, even though it's not really a country. They all have signed the Antarctica treaty. the Accords or whatever it's called. How like these are people that literally are warring with each other right now, but they all agree on fucking Antarctica.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
under
and as
20,
part of that, Australia had main control over it because it has no means of actually defending it or the resources to be able to build anything on there. So
but there's all this talk of secretive matters going on down there. And it could just be military secretive, could be
you know what?
whatever.
I don't even reckon it's cold down there.
No. Well, you know, I'm a big fan of books and movies and whatever about Arctic and Antarctic exploration. I have a shelf of them here. And in the good old days, when they were looking for the Southwest Passage in the Arctic, they used to believe that the Arctic Ocean was completely free of ice. And there was lots of land in there that people lived on. And that was up to the 18th, 19th centuries.
Well, it's also a fact that of all those countries that I was talking about, most of them, including ours, I think one of the most recent people to go there was like John Kerry or something like that.
Yeah,
But
he's mentioned here.
yeah, every few years, major global leaders go to Antarctica.
They do. And
That is weird.
I know that under the 22 miles of ice, well, it's thicker on the west side of Antarctica than the east, because it was once Gondwana and had moved, continental drift had moved it from warmer climes, there could be all sorts of stuff under there. If you could ever get to it, of course. Now, the Nazis built secret underground bases, so they're already there.
Well, that was kind of my point with the pyramid is you could convince me that there's pyramids there. I just don't think I think that the ice would be taller, thicker, however you want to look at it, than that. I don't think we'd be seeing any upwards edges of it.
And here's a guy that's actually swam to Antarctica as part of a women's endurance competition. This bloke.
What are the women enduring?
Did he
the
live?
Black Pyramid of Alaska. So I didn't know about that one. There's a Black Pyramid in Alaska. It's been there for millions of years, and they discovered it buried under the ground near Mount McKinley.
Like a
That's a
legit
new one.
pyramid?
Well, indeed, this is the pyramid dates back to antiquity and is tens of thousands of years old. And like claims of other pyramids around the world, was built to harness and generate power. So this could be the green energy we're looking for.
I do tend to kind of believe that there's something there. I mean, I'm obviously not a scientist or a metaphysicist or any of that kind of shit, but just the idea that we don't quite understand what the pyramids actually were, like when talking about Egyptian pyramids, and they obviously knew a lot of things that I won't say we don't know, but that it took us much longer to figure out as a society, as a civilization. There's something to the fact that they were doing something, and I mean, sure, why not harnessing some sort of solar energy?
Who knows? I mean, if you put things underneath a pyramid, don't they get like fruit that's rotting? Doesn't it get better? You know, pyramids heal things, apparently.
I don't
Focus
know.
on
I've never
Right on the
heard
ley
that one.
lines.
Focusing cosmic energy.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of, is the fact that they lay on the ley lines, and like you would have had to have had a good understanding of what is that, the magnetosphere, to even know about ley lines.
Well, you know, Tesla probably knew. So Toxic has said Antarctica spelled backwards is Akatranatsana, which is the ancient word for frozen dildo. And I think he's right.
No.
Yeah.
I
And
buy
then
that.
D. Bud Martin, what about the pyramids of Mars? That was a great Doctor Who story, yes. Tom Baker. And as we all know, it's all about sex, so that's why the world leaders are going to Antarctica, just so they can shag exotic wildlife and each other.
Yeah, those
Yeah,
human
could that-
penguin hybrids.
That's right. Could Antarctica be the lost continent of Atlantis? Well, you know, that isn't so far-fetched when you consider that the continental drift, once that part of the globe that was up in the warmer areas, maybe there are lost, long-remembered myths of areas that existed pre our current civilizations that were ruined by that continental drift and are now buried under there. You never know.
Right.
'Cause I-
And didn't ancient maps have a large landmass to the south where Antarctica would be, like
Well,
Terra
they have. There's
Australis?
a Turkish one in particular, which I may have a link to. I think it might be here. Ancient origins. This is this map here. The Piri rice map. It sounds like a great takeout meal on a Friday night. How could a 16th century map show Antarctica without ice? So I'm guessing it's this stuff here. And it shows animals, it shows ports. So on October 9th, 1929, a German theologian named Gustav Adolf Deisman was cataloging items in the Topkapi Palace Library in Istanbul, because it's an old Turkish map, when he happened across a curious parchment located among some disregarded material. On the gazelle skin parchment was a map, now referred to as the Piri rice map. You know how hard it was to draw a map on a gazelle skin? These things just don't stand still very easily. The map was drawn and signed by Turkish cartographer Haji Ahmed Mohidin Piri, aka Piri Rice, and is dated to 1513 AD, and he was an admiral in the Turkish Navy and a cartographer who claimed to have 20 source maps used in charts to construct this map, including 8 Ptolemaic maps, 4 Portuguese and Arabic map, and a map by Christopher Columbus. The issue with that is none of them ever sailed down there that we know of.
Right.
But its presence is mostly due to the presence of what appears to be a representation of Antarctica 300 years before it was discovered. And it shows the landmass before it was covered in ice over 6,000 years ago. So, I mean, ancient maps are not to be trusted, we know, but then again, we also know that the Columbus wasn't the first person to land. Well, not that he landed in North America, he landed in the bloody Caribbean islands. Now we know Vikings and potentially even the Romans had made that journey before.
Though it is interesting. Sorry.
Go ahead, mate.
That you brought up Columbus, when there's a urban legend or whatever you want to call it, myth, that when they were sailing here, they ended up straying into the Bermuda Triangle, and because of the lack of wind and the faulty compass nature of the area, they were stranded there practically for roughly 3 weeks, to the point that his crew of former prisoners were ready to mutiny and murder him, and they just happened to luck up and hit land before they actually killed him.
Yeah, that's right. He was pretty much at the end of his tether, and of course, it's ironic that he never set foot on mainland North America ever. Even when he did like 3 visits, and it was always to the islands, and he thought it was India because he didn't realize there's a huge landmass in between the Atlantic and the Pacific.
But woo, Columbus Day!
Yeah. He's probably one of the least successful explorers ever. And it's ironic also that the Americas are not named after him, but they're named after Amerigo Vespucci.
Right.
Right.
You know, Columbus, he just gets a lousy statue or 2 in a day. However, I think that there's an awful lot we don't know about pre-written current human civilization. Who's to say that we didn't have prior technological civilizations that they couldn't have sailed places and passed down some of that information over tens of thousands of years as a kind of a species memory almost? I don't know.
Well, no,
It's
you're not wrong, and I tend to agree with that. My problem is kind of the same thing here as almost with religion. It's the fact that, like even this guy said, I used, 20 other maps to construct this map. Well, I mean, at some point you're working with a translation of a translation of a translation.
Particularly the Greek ones. I mean, they didn't do go outside the Mediterranean, particularly in North Africa. So, but yeah, there's a good point made in Spice Ancient Dildo, never trust an Ottoman, especially if you live in Constantinople in the 1400s. Which is a fascinating period of history. The Ottoman Empire, the crumbling Byzantine Empire, Fourth Crusade, Sultan Mehmed the Conqueror, and the fall of Constantinople, even though it had these massive walls. So there's a whole series of videos could be made about that. So, but anyway, yes. So that's another Antarctic thing. But to me, it's the same as the maps that showed the Arctic Ocean was free of ice and was relatively warm and had land in it that could be. So hence all these Arctic explorers of the 17th, 18th, 19th century trying to find their way to the North Pole because they thought they were going to find something completely different. And all that happened was they all got frozen and eaten and died, but eaten by each other, generally speaking. There's actually a new thing on Netflix movie called 1909, set in 1909. I think it's called Against the Ice with Nicholas Coster-Waldau. It's about a Danish expedition to Greenland in 1909. I'm certainly looking forward to watching that because, as I say, I've read an awful lot about that stuff. I love I'm fascinated with Antarctic exploration, and it could be a pretty good show. So,
well, while we're on this subject, have you heard of the Admiral Byrd interview?
Well, I was about to get there because what I was about to talk about then in Antarctica is Operation High Jump.
Oh, okay.
So this, and you can see they captured some wonderful pictures when they were down there. But Operation High Jump was the 1947 very, very large expedition that the US sent to Antarctica with various things they were tasked with. And then there was a smaller follow-up expedition under Robert Byrd, which is why I think there's Birdland there now, isn't there? Which used to be a jazz club in somewhere. But, so they sent an awful lot of ships, an awful lot of troops, an awful lot of aircraft. And it became a topic amongst UFO conspiracy theorists who claimed it was a covert operation to conquer alleged secret underground Nazi facilities in Antarctica and capture the German Vril flying discs, as we can see here, which they obviously perfected and flew over the tree-lined hills of Antarctica.
Well, clearly they're part
Looks
of the
legit.
Potentially
Luftwaffe.
don't exist. Which don't exist. But clearly they did a good job on those.
Did it say Vril, as in the Vril Society?
VRIL?
Mm-hmm.
Is that how you pronounce Vril?
Yeah, I've heard some about this before.
Isn't that the lizard people, supposedly?
Well, they're
think
involved
so.
with this because it's the Thule Mercury-powered spaceship prototypes. And weren't the Thules the one of the alien species that were involved? The Zetas and the Thules?
Oh, okay.
So the US military always denied that there was anything to do with Nazis, but I do think that they were probably sneaking around looking for that, given that German U-boats had been down there, potentially sniffing around for some kind of open water base that they could use. But they, of course, this conspiracy then goes on to say that reportedly they took with them members of the anti-gravity disc research and development teams with all the notes, drawings, and designs for those flying discs. Why they didn't just do what von Braun did and hand themselves over to the Americans and have a good living, I don't know. So the disc components as well were critically on board these ships. So the Nazi secret weapons program had invented these, and they went down to Antarctica, which is hence the tales of Antarctic Nazi bases that are supposedly still there to this day. And they don't have Netflix, so they can't see any. They're deprived of modern technology.
No, but basically everything in Antarctica is essentially legal because there is no country law and it's not an international order thing. Like you can grow and sell pot, you can run a meth lab down there if you wanted to.
Well, how else are you going to, if you're in a research station closed in for 6 months of winter, what else are you going to do? You got to amuse yourself somehow.
Yeah,
Drugs and
Netflix.
bang.
So the fact is there was plenty of evidence at the time to indicate that as late as 1947, elements of the Kriegsmarine German Navy were still very much
Kriegsmarine.
active.
Kriegsmarine.
Jawohl, mein Herr. Were still very much active in the South Atlantic, operating out of South America. Well, we know they were big in Argentina. They were cloning German leaders in Argentina, according to the movies.
The kids in Brazil?
Yes,
Yeah.
boys from Brazil. So, so apparently they went down there to do that, and then, like, I love this. It's classified top secret. The only person to begin talking about the mission, the Secretary of the Navy, James Forrestal, was quickly institutionalized in Bethesda Naval Hospital psychiatric ward, and later died from a suspicious suicide.
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah, that's true.
He's a real
he
guy
shot
with a very
himself in the
interesting
back
life.
of the head twice.
Right.
That happens.
I thought he
lot.
jumped out a window.
Then
he jumped out the window and landed on the bullets.
That's right. Yeah,
While
so
also having COVID.
well, also having COVID.
First diagnosed case, actually.
And was supposedly a sympathizer of Putin. But so there's obviously a circled picture of a lump, which is very significant. I'm not quite sure what that circled picture is meant to represent, but
There's no like underlying
Alien.
caption to tell us.
no.
Yeti
Could be a
did.
UFO base. This is pictures of UFO bases. That's what it is.
Look at the giant
this.
letters written into the ice.
I know, that's right. Somebody wrote Foley Prom. How long that took in the freezing cold. But yeah, I guess they're saying that this light stream here is an UFO base. Next to a picture of a strange-looking mermaid
Whale.
whale.
I thought that was a
Manatee.
hole.
Could be a hole. But yeah, UFO base. This, no idea. I mean, this is just...
Maybe that's the same hole from farther away.
It could be. Anyway, the high tower operation hightailed it out of there, and much of it is still secret to this day. They were probably just sniffing around so they could build their own bases there, but I just held a sneaking wish that it was true and there was like a very Bond villain style Nazi Antarctic base there, 22 miles under the ice, which you can only get into from submarine. That would be fun.
I like how they added, there's much more that is still secret to this day, meaning there's more we just can't tell you.
We just can't tell you.
Right.
We're not going to tell you. But also from this wonderful ancient origin site, which is absolutely full of experts that I implicitly believe Lake Vostok is a real thing, as Cosmic mentioned. Cosmic, are you sharing something with me? I think you are. Hang on. Does this need
Yeah, but I
volume?
mean, it wasn't something that we had to get to right
Is that the
this
guy that
moment.
went nuts and then shot himself in the back of the head by falling out of a building?
No, this is a guy interviewing Admiral Byrd about his
Oh, right.
expeditions, where he talks about. They basically say, you've been to the North and the South Pole. What's there left to explore? And he just starts describing this whole other land.
Was it
I didn't know if
underneath?
you wanted to. Yeah, I don't know if you wanted to watch it now.
I do. No, let's do it.
All
Okay.
right.
I don't know if the
It's
volume
when,
will...
by buying a
you
ticket
hear it?
on a commercial airliner, you can fly across the North Pole and drink a cocktail at the same time. Only 30 or more years ago, about 35 years ago, our guest tonight found out whether there was any land north of the North American continent. He made that first discovery flight, and I must say that Admiral Byrd, our guest tonight, is not only our greatest living explorer, but he's been an inspiration to countless Americans. Admiral Byrd, you've been to both the North Pole and the South Pole. Is there any unexplored land left on this earth that might appeal to adventurous young Americans?
Yes, there is. And not up around the North Pole, because it's getting crowded up there now, because they find out it's really usable, not only to live in, but militarily. But strangely enough, there's left in the world today an area as big as the United States that's never been seen by a human being. And that's beyond the pole on the other side of the South Pole from Middle America. And I think it's quite astonishing that there should be an area as big as that unexplored.
That's a tremendous
So
challenge.
there's a lot of adventure left down at the bottom of the world.
Admiral, do you hope to see that?
I do.
Yeah, because the whole thing about that is there's only one side that you come in from on Antarctica, and there's parts of it that you don't go. There's a big shelf that shit, I can't remember what it's called now. But yeah, no, we learned about that there's only one way to really get into Antarctica, even though it's you can access it from any point in the world.
Yeah, typically it's that shelf on the northeast side with all the island archipelagos coming off it. I think Mary Bird Land, or that's the lower part of the ice shelf.
Yeah.
Some round the western parts, it's too steep. There's no landing areas. It's 22 miles high ice, so you really got to come into that area, which is why most of the main mission, like Shackleton's expedition and others. Scott and Edmundson, they all landed there in that area.
That just
Yeah,
sounds
it's the
hard.
ice wall from Game of Thrones, I think.
It is, and then we saw how easy that was to get past them.
Yeah, just get an
it's
ice
hard
dragon.
to visualize
Just fly
22
over it with a
miles of
dragon.
ice.
Well, flying was how they ended up reaching the North Pole in the end. Can't remember the name of the guy now. I've read it a million times. American guy. Although they reckon he cheated and he didn't make it all the way, but he claimed he did. And who was there to tell him otherwise? So,
So the way they have Antarctica
Jesus,
divided up
okay.
between countries like a pie, who has claim to the land where everyone has to access it?
Well, there's various treaties which control that between the powers, as it were. So, quite how those treaties are written, I don't know, but they all seem pretty civil about most of it. Although, obviously, now they're going to rename Lake Vostok Lake Kiev.
As far as I know, it's operated the same way as like the International Space Station, where there's
Yeah.
various research bases, and then throughout the years, different countries send different researchers there.
But yeah, they don't, as you say, it's not managed under normal international law, although there might be some admiralty law issues, but it's individual treaties. And I think there was an overarching UN thing at some point. But yeah, there's like 100 countries there, you said, Darius, or something?
Yeah, I put a link in the private chat.
It's a fascinating place. It really, really is. Oh yeah. So the orange part is Andorra. Liechtenstein is the lilac part. Gibraltar has the white area. Contradict me if you wish at any time.
I'm surprised Andorra has any...
North Korea has virtually all of it, in fact. But it's funny that if you look at the main ones, Argentina, Australia, Chile, France, New Zealand, Norway, UK. No mention of China, I notice. They must have a base or two, but they don't seem to have a huge portion, and neither does the US.
No, in true China fashion, they don't need to. They just own it.
Yeah. So I guess there's
technically still part of Antarctica that was signed and owned territory-wise by the Nazis, because they were actually a part of the official one. I think it was called like Swabia or something like that.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Oh yeah, Neuschwabenland.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank God Darius is here. He's such an egghead.
Yeah, I couldn't say that.
Yes. My ability to speak German is only at very basic level at the moment.
But he said it wrong. It's Neuschwabenland.
Right.
Got the damn wrong.
Like, I think we in English it would be like Swabia.
Yes, because we were told it was Swabia. That's what I can remember as Swabia. But yeah, obviously Swaben, because you don't have W's over there.
Right.
They don't mention
New Swabia.
Oh no, there's Nazi Germany, New Swabia. Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, that's right. They had this little bit here.
Yeah, but like you said, there's a big section called Marie Birdland, which is most of which is unclaimed. So it's
there's a treaty leaving it unclaimed.
Right.
Most of the expeditions come into this Weddell Sea area,
which the unclaimed area is 110% the size of the United States in landmass.
Okay. Oh wow!
Well, unclaimed means China owns it. But But Lake Vostok is an interesting mystery, and it's weird enough without us making shit up about it. In that,
Wait, so they're not renaming it Lake Kiev?
Well, that was
no, I wouldn't be surprised.
That's my current era joke.
Yeah,
it's next to a Russian base, of course. But so it's subglacial lake, largest in Antarctica. It's the size of the island of Cyprus, I think, 4,000 meters under the surface of the ice. It has been drilled down to, and there is liquid water there. It's certainly not the same composition as fresh water anywhere else. It's got higher O2 and nitrogen content, and they have found bacteria there, living bacteria, one of which has got only 86% of the same DNA as other life on Earth. So given that it's been trapped under there probably for 50, 100,000 years, maybe more, maybe millions, things have kind of gone a little bit different with their DNA there. It appears to sustain life even though no sunlight reaches it. So it's probably based on the hot
chemosynthesis.
Emosynthesis, which is two desperately horrible, depressed, grim people dressed in black.
and it gives them energy. Yeah.
I just figured it was the energy trapped in the pyramids radiating out.
It is, or it could be Nazi radiation.
Speaking of radiation, they also say because of how dense and everything it is, the radiation from all the bombs and everything that have gone off, the radiation hasn't pierced down that far yet.
Yes.
So there would be the only water on the planet that doesn't have any sort of radiation in it.
We've continued to evolve because of changes to genetics due to things like radiation. They've not. It says here 15 million years it's been covered. There must be hot air vents, thermobaric vents at the bottom, which they've shown in deep oceans elsewhere sustain life with the heat and chemicals. So something's keeping something alive down there. Whether or not there's anything larger than bacteria, nobody knows. But it's fascinating, And there are other subglacial lakes in there too. So,
is that where that bacteria was found that was like blood red?
Testing there
could be. Sorry, say again, Cosmic.
I'm saying, have we conducted nuclear testing there? Did we drop bombs there?
There was nuclear. The Americans certainly conducted nuclear tests in the sea near Antarctica. I don't know if any have been conducted on Antarctic ice per se, but that would be an interesting experiment.
Because so they contaminated the krill.
Then they could rise from the seas when they were mutated and wipe out human life. But how deeply that might affect the ice and melt it, who knows? But no, they've done offshore nukes a while back. So yeah, they got a vertical channel. It took them 20 years to drill down there. They didn't have the technology to start with. It is fresh water, but it is of a very different composition, and it's unknown bacteria, but that leads to questions about whether or not there's even a second biogenesis happens at some point.
Yeah, well, I mean, if they said it was like 80-something% similar, but different, I mean, it obviously wouldn't really be in a situation to mutate because it hasn't been exposed to any external, anything external to be able to mutate into. So obviously we're the things that have mutated, and that was probably what it was.
Yeah, you've got a good point there, but there's certainly a lot more exploration to do there, and again, we don't know what might be trapped, albeit very flatly, under 15 miles of ice in Antarctica. There are areas that are exposed, but very few of them.
Michael Flatley,
yes.
He was the Lord of the Dance after all.
That's right, Lord of the Dance Rings, Lord of the Cock Rings.
Well, if it's that old, there's also the fact that the atmospheric content has changed quite a bit over time, and so I mean, it would possibly die if you tried to like thaw it out and wake it up or whatever.
Possibly, and to Grant's point, it could be that it's closer to original life than we are, But I think E. Clay Thomason makes a good point. It's mermaids that are down there, and we're back to the start again.
It's the full circle of life.
It is. So I had many other subjects lined up, but unfortunately I've got a hard stop at 2 hours. So I'd like to just tackle one or two quick things before we wrap. Today, unfortunately, I have obligations, commitments. So Mars. There's an awful lot we could talk about with Mars. Obviously, this is an ancient city that they've discovered on Mars.
Oh, clearly.
You can see that.
It reminds me of Mesopotamia a fair bit now that I think about it.
Yeah.
Or
It does.
Ukraine airport.
Ukraine airport, or yes. Or actually, it's more like the neural structure of an SJW to me.
Reminds me of a campsite with garbage all over it.
This is your brain on liberalism.
That's right. So this is apparently evidence of a lost city on Mars. Well, it's not lost; they found it now.
The found lost city on Mars, I think is what it's called.
This is the Nazi base on Mars.
It looks like a hubcap.
And a rug.
could be a hubcap on someone's blanket. Yeah.
I mean, with the way in which the Nazis were able to circumnavigate the world and everything. I mean, yes, they were bad people, but my God, they were ingenuity. Like to be able to get to Mars and to Antarctica to build all these secret bases.
They were
amazing,
German.
weren't they?
Yeah.
Well, look, I've played Wolfenstein, and they were in space and in that game, so it must be true.
And I've seen Iron Sky, so I know they were on the moon too.
That's right, yeah. and indeed, there is a complete. This is a far better picture of that German base, and it's got the German flying saucers. So, this is what we have to look forward to when we get there. But then again, according to some people, we've already got our own bases there and are fighting aliens there right now.
With the Nazis or against the Nazis?
Yeah,
It
because that
didn't
kind of
mention-
because I mean, yeah, I'm all for protecting the Earth, but I mean, if that means that we've got to team up with the Third Reich, it's kind of like, oh, how about you be Operation Frontline or Cannon Fodder or something, you know?
That's right.
Yeah, y'all fight
Well,
them over there, and we'll fight them over here.
The Nazis have clearly got the superior technology, so let them do the fighting. So Randy Kramer is the guy that's the soldier of the Mars Defense Force. See, the whistleblower that came forward. Space traveler and Mars colonist. He spent 20 years as a Marine in the US Secret Space Program fighting aliens.
Oh, is this the guy that said that he was trained by the clone of Elon Musk?
That is something like that, yes. I
Yes.
think this is the guy. Project Moonshadow. He was one of 300 girls and boys who were covertly drafted to participate in the program. Girls comprised only 20% of the group, which obviously made much tension when it came to dating. There was a lot of fights, and a lot of less good-looking girls got treated as 9s and 10s instead of 6s and 7s.
Oh yeah.
Some
Those
girls
Mags.
have all the luck.
That's right, Mags.
Yeah.
Thanks for stopping by. Appreciate it, lass.
Oh, should leave you. Take care, Mags.
Take care, Mags. This is Elon's settlement, but yeah, he's an interesting guy, and this is well worth looking up because even if you don't believe it, it's fascinating stuff. Would make a great science fiction novel, but yeah, he doesn't mention the Nazis actually, so maybe that's just a conspiracy theory. This is all real. Yeah, but yes.
Well, once
Mars
they got there, it would just be them, so that they wouldn't need to be Nazis anymore, right? They would just
Yeah.
go back to doing
just being
whatever
humans.
Nazis do when they're not killing people.
Yeah, but he says he was involuntarily
drinking beer.
recruited. I think that would be a bit annoying. One day he goes to high school, and then next day he's on Mars fighting aliens.
Yeah, there's a
Right.
whole indoctrination video thing that they do. They have like flashing lights and different things, and they make you believe that this is what you want to do, and then you do it. And when you're there, you're like, well, I might as well keep doing it.
Sounds like
So, MK
the
Ultra.
Ipcress file or something like that.
Yeah, there is a huge like subset on YouTube about the Mars Defense Force and all of its subcategories and different things.
Yep.
And
This is a big one.
Earth soldiers and how they're actually clones and they've got past lives. I went into this rabbit hole probably about a year ago. It is insanely deep, and
Where
there
that
is a
sounds awesome.
lot of people. Yeah, and the weirdest thing about it is you don't know when you're talking to the people whether they're doing a bit just for the sake of clicks or they genuinely believe it, because some of them seem to have some sort of real trauma behind it when they're talking about it, and like I don't know any. Well, I've never been shown any proof, put it that way, of any of it, but they all seem to have the exact same stories.
But apparently we must be winning this war, otherwise they would have invaded Earth by now.
Well, they're the first, last, and only line of defense against the scum of the universe.
No, that's right. It's like like UFO, the old TV show. They get into their spandex suit and jump into the tube, into the spaceship, and go off and fight them. So I'd like to say hello to Nerdporial for coming on, for joining in the chat. Good to see you, buddy. Brandon, the anime guy, you too. Thanks for joining. Yes, as I say, unfortunately, I do have to wrap up soon, but I have one more thing I think we need to talk about, which is Australia. Australia has been exposed as a giant hoax, and we could all be fucked now, M8s, or mates, as I assume that means.
I don't know what this article is. I've got to go. Bye.
So apparently, the conspiracy is that Britain didn't really send all the convicts to Australia. They actually drowned them all in the ocean because it was cheaper and easier. And they claimed that they'd found a country called Australia and they'd sent them all there. So it's a historical lie. It says it's not real. It's a hoax made for us to believe that Britain moved over their criminals to someplace. In reality, all these criminals were loaded off the ships into the waters, drowning before they could see land ever again. It's a cover-up for one of the greatest mass murders in history, made by one of the most prominent empires. That part I could believe.
Right, that actually sounds super plausible if you just leave the story there.
Yeah, so every government in the world is in on this, and as Grant said, they're all actors and computer-generated persons, part of the plot to trick the world. So Grant, tell me, are you an actor or an NPC?
I can neither confirm nor deny my software upgrade. I mean, my human neural network.
And that explains why all the wildlife is like fantasy creatures.
That's right. Somebody just said, let's stick this bit onto that bit. And, yeah.
we have mammals that suckle and also lay eggs.
Right.
But how do you explain Paul Hogan?
You can't. There's no excuse for that.
I don't know. Well, I mean, Paul Hogan, the easiest way to describe Paul Hogan is if there was such thing as a stereotype and a caricature of a country, that's Paul Hogan. Yeah. And then he stopped paying his taxes. So then Steve Irwin came into the picture. And then when he got too popular and people wanted to come to the country, a quote unquote sting raid him. Yeah.
Yeah, it backfired. He was supposed to make you not want to go there.
So the Paul Hogan really was a caricature of a caricature.
Essentially.
Yeah. I watched the Paul Hogan show years ago. It was pretty funny before he became Crocodile Dundee.
Yeah, the whole idea. He was one of the main people that brought forth the lovable larrikin idea of the typical Aussie bloke.
Yeah, with the brew and the...
Yeah, you know, you got your flannelette shirt, you got your mullet, you got your Winnie Blues in your top pocket, and...
Straight with cobber, you know, that kind of thing.
Wait, that's not what you're all like?
That's what we would call a bogan.
So apparently, according also to this article, the citizens of New Zealand are paid an annual stipend to keep stum about this and pretend they're going to Australia on holidays.
So New Zealand is still real.
Oh, it's real, but it is populated by hobbits and sheep, basically.
And spiders.
But anyway, we could, if we had lots of time, I'd love to go over this a bit more. I did miss one thing that I wanted to talk about in the transmogrified humans, which is there is an actual such a thing as a spider baby. We never had time to watch it to find out about it though.
I got a spider baby.
A what?
A spider baby. You know, it's kind of a freak show thing. You know, it's got the body of a spider, but it's actually a baby.
Father Ted, great show.
Like a human centipede?
Yes, a spider baby.
Yeah,
head of a baby, body of a baby, head of a spider, or one vice versa. If you've ever seen Father Ted,
Yeah,
one of the funniest
it was the
shows
inspiration for the toy in Toy Story. Was from that bit.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
It's a great show, brilliant show. So Norporial's made a good point. I also didn't get the chance to talk about Revolution Number 9, the Beatles' most weird record, which is full of hidden messages telling us about things. But we'll make a whole show of that one day, I think. So that was, believe it or not, painful as it was, that was probably it for today.
Oh man, at least you didn't have an article about Nazis building a base in Australia.
Well, Antarctica's close enough. Isn't that close enough for you? It's a short
Yeah, but it's
haul.
not in the Australian territory. It's in the other territory.
It's probably in the Chilean. So I also had stuff about ghosts, ancient aliens, moon stuff, and Loch Ness and Yetis. We'll have to leave those for another show.
Even your bookmarks are highly organized.
I can't help it. I plan everything.
I know.
And then I just let you guys talk when I do it.
If you look in his book, he says, on Tuesday I've got planned 1 hour of spontaneity. There we go.
That's right. And the spontaneity has to start here and finish here.
Makes perfect sense.
So thank you.
Sentinel Dildo did make up a good point about the Nazi bases.
Oh, let's see. Sorry, I'm
in Australia.
Oh yeah.
Oh, there we go. That's true. Australia is now, like Canada, is now a officially Yahtzee country. So
it's called a health hotel.
Yeah.
Right.
That's right. It's for your own good.
Shitty Yelp reviews. I'll give you that. Oh my god.
You call it a stockade spa, or But we, our Prime Minister, not to get too political, our glorious and beloved leader, can fly across the Atlantic to virtue signal about things he is never able to do with Ukraine, but he couldn't walk across the street to talk to some truckers. So I rest my case.
Yeah,
so,
but they had flags, and they were cleaning statues. You know how scary that is?
And they were cleaning up the streets and feeding homeless people. So
What?
Pure evil.
Somebody beat me smashing that bot. You know,
concentrated evil.
My dad used to often say, "Don't piss on my head and tell me it's raining."
Yeah, and then you said, "I'm sorry about pissing on your head, Dad, but you've never taught me to use the toilet properly." So sorry about pissing your head, but I'd set it on fire.
At least not pissing in your pocket.
So we'll leave some of these other subjects for later because there's some fascinating stuff we could have done. I would like to thank everybody in the chat for joining. I'm going to give you guys a chance to plug things, but everyone in the chat for joining. It's too many of you to name in person, but I love you all. Keep on rocking. You guys are great. We had some fun. Whatever you guys want to talk about in future, feel free to give me ideas, because I've got lots of ideas for shows. I've got a couple planned coming up, but always looking for more interesting stuff. So we can have this little chat. And I would ask everyone to subscribe, like, and click the bell for notifications, because I'm finding that is very important, because if people don't know your show's starting, they don't know it's starting. So please do that. And thanks for everyone for being watchers and subscribers. I think we had a bot there.
Yeah, I think they got him.
They got him. Somebody got him.
Yeah.
I do have some mods in the chat, I think. So
I think that was the second or third bot we've had this year.
I missed the first ones. I'm too busy looking at stuff on the screen.
Yeah,
I need a producer. I thought I had a producer, but he doesn't do anything. So
what, me?
Yeah.
I'm executive producer. I'm not supposed to do anything.
You're just the inspiration, the brain.
No, he's just a money bag.
That's right. So let's go
you
around
need
the
to hire
house.
some interns.
Indeed. Well, indeed. And I can think of a few that I have a model for an intern that would be good to hire. Template, shall we say.
She looks like a mermaid.
She does look like a mermaid. But the top half is fish and the bottom half isn't. So
we can still have some fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Cosmic, my friend, is there anything you would like to plug? Thank you for coming on.
Oh yeah, thanks for having me. And not really either tonight or tomorrow, depending on circumstances. I will have. Looks like I'm lagging super bad for some reason. I will have.
That's the doobie.
I will have a show which is Galactic Garage where we just talk cars and whatnot, and I'll be launching slash debuting a new channel Friday. But other than that, no, just came to have fun.
Cool. No, and thanks very much for joining me, mate. I appreciate it, and we'll do it again soon. And yeah, Cosmic Garage. I've sneaked a couple of looks at it. I'm not a car man, but yeah, good stuff. Good stuff. It's
Absolutely.
nice to have a show. I like stuff in our fellowship that's just a little bit different. Like there are car nerds, just as there are other kinds of nerds. So, or
Yeah,
geeks,
try to
however you
cater
wanna
to
call it.
everyone.
Yeah, I think it's awesome, man. So thank you. Mr. Grant Gregory, NPC actor from the state of Australia.
Yeah, well, you can catch me on anything that has Mr. Grant Gregory on it. Make sure that you tune into Mad Barber Entertainment of an evening or morning, depending what time it is, for the speakeasies. They're a lot of fun, kind of like a mini version of an EFAP. And oh yeah, rest in peace, John Bartolo and Shane Warne.
Absolutely.
Oh, Shane Warne, I was going to get to actually. I had a little clip. Yeah, Shane Warne, 50. What was he? 52, 53?
Yeah, 52. I'm not
Yeah.
saying it had anything to do with his shot that he just had, but 2 weeks ago he was saying that.
Well,
Gotta get your shot.
interestingly enough, I may have thought of that, but when I was looking at an old article from like 2014, and they were expressing concern about some diet he was on, and it had potential impact on heart stuff. And I thought, oh my God, that's quite prophetic, given he's gone now, and that was way back before COVID. So who knows, you know? But
Yeah,
sad loss.
I'm not a doctor. I just find it odd that you've got so many of these people who are professional athletes just dropping dead of heart attacks.
Yeah, and no, none of us are doctors, but it is interesting that doctors are recommending cardiac tests before people play sport now. So who knew? But yeah, Grant, thanks, buddy. It's always a pleasure and hanging out. Yeah, and appreciate you coming on.
Thank you very much.
And the last and very much not least is my associate honorary executive producer, Mr. Darius Munchausen, founder of the Dead Boob Society.
I can neither confirm nor deny the existence of the Dead Boob Society, but thank you for having me on, as always. And it's great to have our guests today, Cosmic Fusion and Mr. Grant Gregory. And I will not be doing a show later tonight. I'm having an issue with my computer, which hopefully doesn't take me too long to fix. I think I know what the problem is, and I'm kind of surprised I made it through your entire show without it shutting down.
You sound fine, so it's obviously streaming okay at the moment. Yeah, it's coping at the moment.
Well, I think my processor's overheating because I'm not having any performance issues, you know, like no slowdown, and I don't think my RAM is overflowing, but it'll just suddenly, you know, shut down and then reboot. So, yeah, it shouldn't be too difficult to fix. And
talk to me after the show about that, Darius.
For sure.
I actually do have a photo of your computer that you shared with me, and I can see why you're having a problem. So if it was me, I think I would replace first of all.
I see where the issue is. That little sticker made in the USA. Yeah, that makes
right.
sense.
The sticker, take the sticker off, no problem.
Yeah, and that'll be working.
Yeah, or you know, was it a Note 8, Note 7?
Yeah, just lucky I had that picture handy, and I didn't know it was totally coincidental.
Talk about prophetic.
I know. So sorry, I interrupted you, mate. You got anything else?
Toxic says, "Keep your sex life out of the stream, please. No one wants to know about your performance issues."
No, I think it's more of a toxic. It's more of a lack of a performance issue.
Yeah,
it's the problem.
It's just getting too hot, if you know what I mean.
Cool. Anyway, thanks, buddy, for joining me. You're my YouTube day one brother. So
well,
yeah,
a pleasure day
to have
one.
you on.
You know, it's been like a year and a half now since we met on a live stream.
Indeed.
And, yeah, no, you know, we came up together, and I know we like to you know, compete for subscribers the way friends do. And
you're beating the shit out of me now, I'm sure. Mine have dropped off a cliff, new ones. 367 now is all that I've got.
Well, yeah, I was trying to get ahead of you while you were on vacation, but because I knew when you got back, you'd pass me up again.
Yeah, and then I had laryngitis, which kind of cramped things. So that'll be it. Thanks, buddy. Appreciate it. As for my good self, tomorrow night I will be on Toxic Tuesday, 32 Flavors of Nick Visor, 7 p.m. Pacific, and tomorrow night we're doing the magnificent Animal House, which I already have given 11 out of 10 before even doing the show. So just freaking love that movie. So yeah, please watch that one. I have a couple of videos I'm editing right now on some subjects. One is an underlooked band called the Raspberries from the 70s, a band I love. I feel deserve a little more attention. Also working on a new science fiction novel video, Immortality Inc., Robert Sheckley. And I've got plans that I wish to discuss with some people for some British comedy classic videos. So lots happening there. Have I got the talent and energy for it? No. But but it'll be fun anyway. But yeah, thanks for joining me, guys. Next week's show, I will be trailing during the week. I have 2 potential big shows lined up in the next couple of weeks this time, both of which should be a lot of fun with some great guests. So, and like today, a lot of fun with some great guests. Always good. Always fun with friends. So until next week, thank you again, everybody. Take care, stay well, and keep on rocking in the not so free world.